All praises to Yahweh Ba'Sham Yahweh Shai, Ba'Sham Makar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. This is going to be a quick lesson on the Passover. All right, a quick lesson on the Passover. This is Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. Now this particular thing that's being spoken about here is Egypt, right? It's what happened in Egypt, man. So Abram was told a prophecy of what was going to happen to his descendants, and didn't it come to pass during the time of Moses being alive? Yes, it did, right? It did come to pass. But those Egyptians that did all of that stuff to the Israelites, they thought in their mind that they was controlling over people and had power over people and had the ability to say whether they was going to let them go or not. But really, they didn't have the power to do anything, because Yahweh was hardening Pharaoh's heart, and even hardening the hearts of the Egyptians too when you read it in the scriptures, right? I think it's in Exodus 11, where it says he hardened the hearts of the Egyptians also, or it might be 12. And the point I'm making is that they thought that it was of their power, but it wasn't of their power. Just like how now us in all the places that we're scattered isn't of these nations that we're scattered in power. So the Israelite that's among the Japanese, right, and he might be in a low position there, right? Even though he looks Japanese, he might still be in a low position there. Him being there isn't because the Japanese had power to get him over there and to make him be their slave. It's because Yahweh had power over us to make us be in all these places. And a future prophecy was spoken again to a prophet in the Old Testament, right? Or to a man of greatness in the Old Testament, which Moses was a prophet, and he's one of his prophecies. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all nations, whither Yahweh thy power hath driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy power, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I commanded this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart and with all thy soul. So what's this saying here? It's saying that those same curses that I've spoken of in Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter, that we was going to go through all of them, every single one. It says we was going to go through the blessings, and it also says we was going to go through the curse. And one of those curses was that we was going to be in a place that's known as Egypt, right? But it wasn't necessarily the same ancient Egypt that we was taken from, because this Egypt that we were going to go to was going to be a place that's where we was going to travel to by ships, right? And from the land of Israel, there's no need to travel by ships to get to Egypt. The proof of that is that when we fled from Egypt after the Passover, did we not walk back? Did we not walk on land? Did we not spend 40 years in the wilderness and walk through there? Yes, we did. We didn't have a need for a ship back then. And ships existed back then. But we didn't have a need for one. We walked. Verse 2 and verse 3, and that then Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and shall return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy power have scattered thee. So it's not talking about just going to one place. It's talking about the salvation that's going to take place in many places. Now, what is this place? What is this salvation that it's speaking about? What would a Christian say? Would a Christian say that this has been fulfilled already? Like, what would a Christian say to this? Because I've never heard a Christian read this. But what would they say? What I'm saying, right, is that this is talking about the prophecy that was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah, where he said, therefore, behold, the days come, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but Yahweh liveth, which brought up, which led the seed of the house of Israel from the north country and from all the other nations where I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. That's what I think it's talking about, right? Which is the same thing that John saw when he saw when he saw the great multitude in Revelation 7 and 9. Those were these same Israelites that were taken from the north country and from every single other place that had been scattered. Verse 4, if any of thine be driven out to the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahweh thy power, and Yahweh thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. Now, can you say that the people that are living in the land of Israel right now have been multiplied above their fathers? Yeah, let's say that they're meant to be the real chosen. Would you say that they're dwelling safely in that place? Because I wouldn't. I would say that they're scared over there. And that's why they're having to lie. When you're in power, right? When you're in power for real, not fake power. When you're in real power and you've got a real rulership, you don't need to hide that you're in charge. You don't need to try and pretend like you're not in charge when you're in charge. You don't need to say, nah, we ain't the richest people in the world. What are you talking about? Everyone's got money. You'd say straight up, you'd stand up with boldness and you'd say, yeah, I am rich because God made me rich. That's what we're going to be saying when we're in our kingdom. We ain't going to be saying, nah, it's the elites. There ain't going to be a lower level Israelite that wasn't of the elect saying, nah, it's not me that's busting you upside the head with them golden scepters, it's the elites. They're going to be saying, I've got next dibs. I want to have a piece of that too. They ain't going to be hiding that they're in power. They're going to be saying, yeah, we are in power. Because Yahweh fulfilled the promise that he said he was going to fulfill unto our fathers. Now, are those people in the land of Israel saying that? Or are they just continually always complaining and faking like they're being oppressed? Verse 6, and Yahweh thy power will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul that thou mayest live. And that's talking about the new covenant. Now, can those people in the land of Israel say that their hearts have been circumcised? Because I know that there's people over there that say that they're non-practicing. I know that they use a code word for eating pork over there so that they can try and feel better about themselves. They say white steak, or how they'll say it in their language, is something like, it sounds like kazeel or something like that. They'll say kazeel. It's a code word for pork because they know that it's a sin to eat it, but yet they want to taste it anyway because they know really deep down that these laws ain't for them. And then you'll have even some people that claim to be the chosen over there that they'll say that they're atheists, which is even more madness. And that's actually the hotspot for that HIJK element of P alphabet and rainbow and stuff that they be doing over there in this world. That's that over there right now is one of their like capitals for that, for like tourists. They like, man, for us, that's what's a real safe zone for us over there. So that's how much they've been defiling the land. Yeah, if there was the chosen, wouldn't they get cursed for doing that? But nobody likes to focus on these things. They just want to try and focus on saying that we ain't the chosen because they're fake, man. Verse 7, and Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So that's what's going to be happening to all these and the people that have been laughing about us not being the Israelites, man, and be trying to focus so hard to say that we ain't the Israelites. They've been losing sleep, man. They've been studying harder. They've been studying like they're going to get a certificate of proving that we ain't the Israelites, man. Some of these people might have degrees, right? And they're studying to prove that we ain't the Israelites more than they studied for their degree. You know, they might have got, I got a master's. I got a master's. Yeah. Well, some of these people have been studying, in particular this Vocab Malone guy. He's been studying more about us not being the Israelites than anything else, man. He's never tried so hard to prove anything in his life than he's tried to prove that we ain't the Israelites, man. He ain't never tried so hard in anything in his life. I can guarantee that, man. But when it comes to trying to prove that we ain't the Israelites, he's traveling states. You know, he's writing books. He's making skits. He's traveling. He's traveling like he's looking in the background to try and see. Oh, that's a KFC there, so I know that they're on this corner, and he's not doing it trying to do that technique because he wants salvation. He's doing it so that he can have an argument and try and prove that we ain't the Israelites. And then the more he tries to prove that we ain't, the more he realizes actually there's something about these guys. The more he realizes that, man. And he's trying to find scoffers all the time. But all of this stuff is prophesied that they was going to do that, though. Just like how what happened in the Passover and how that became a annual celebration every single year, right? A yearly celebration. That was also prophesied and told to Abraham before his name was even Abraham and before he even had any seed. Just like how all of these things was told to Moses before we'd ever even sinned and went off to have to go and be under the curses. We didn't start sinning and going off and having to go under the curses until you read about what happened in the book of Judges. But I'm going to end the lesson there anyway, man. This salvation that we're going to receive was prophesied long ago. Just like how what happened to the Egyptians was prophesied long ago as well. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom.